to Drinks with Binks. I am, of course, Julie Stewart-Binks, and no, there is nothing different about my appearance right now. It's a day after Halloween. We are still partying because that's what we do. It's Halloween every single day, and we are so excited to be joined by two of my friends and colleagues in the sports journalism industry, Charlotte Wilder, Jessica Smetana from Sports Illustrated, and you guys are dressed up too. Because we like to have fun.
We do like to have fun.
Do you know what we are? Should we tell you?
You're John Lennon and you are a dragon. And I know there's some kind of connection. And then
we are Imagine Dragon. It's pretty good.
Great. That's
but we're specifically we want to make this very clear that before the Champions League final, they Imagine Dragons performed.
Right.
And
as they do.
Right, as they do.
At all sporting events.
It's not a sporting event if Imagine Dragons isn't there. But so the announcer comes on and he's like, and now, Imagine Dragon. And there's no S. It wasn't plural.
Oh, no.
So one dragon.
Yeah.
So we're Imagine Dragon.
Specifically from the Champions League final, that guy announcing it. I love it. You guys are so clever and witty, and we're going to get into all of that.
And keep going.
And more coming up on the show. But, of course, it's Drinks with Binks, so we drink, which is a great little loophole that my boss suggested for the show. And we have two different drinks here today. Jess, I'll start with you. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a hard seltzer.
You can say the name of it. It's okay.
It's a White Claw. It is my drink of choice.
And it's a specific flavor that our PA had to search around town for. What is it?
Oh, no. Did you?
Well, it's mango. And for some reason, mango is not in the variety pack, although it is the best flavor of White Claw.
Debatable.
Oh, would you like to debate it?
Yeah.
Let's do this debate right now.
Let's go, Julie.
You know what? I will say I've never had mango White Claws. I'm always black cherry.
Oh, okay.
Oh, same,
That's
actually.
my third favorite flavor.
Yeah. Oh, what's two?
Raspberry.
Oh.
And then lime and grapefruit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unique. It's good. Everyone goes to the beat of their own drum.
Look,
and Charlotte, what do we have in your glass here?
Oh, we got a High Life. Yeah. Which apparently is also a name of a cocktail.
Yeah, I didn't think that, but our producers are like, oh, yeah, it could potentially be a cocktail. I was like, I don't.
And you're like,
no, Charlotte, you know it's not a cocktail.
Yeah,
it's a very gross, heavy beer.
Right. They're like, it's light, first of all. It's
my bad.
Fairly light. But you're like, have you seen her? She doesn't know what that is. Like, there's no way she knows what it is.
I was like, oh, some millennial cocktail, though. But you do live in Brooklyn, so.
I'm a dad. Look at my,
You never know.
come on.
I thought you were going to suggest a chilled red, because that's what you usually post about.
You post a lot about chilled red.
But that was summer 2019.
Yeah, that's
and it's now fall, so I'm back to being a dirtbag.
All right.
You know?
Okay.
What do we call fall?
Oh, well, there's Hot Girl Summer, and there was Summer 2019. So maybe this is just like drunk, sad fall.
Yeah.
How do we feel about that?
We'll still be happy.
Well, yeah, no.
Happy fall.
Oops, sorry.
Really rattled you.
It's a wingspan.
The wings, yes.
Wingspan.
You have wings on.
Don't know what to.
Too.
Yeah.
It doubles as a wingsuit.
Yeah. After this, just suggested I go jump off the building.
Yeah.
See how far I get.
You can float for a little.
It works.
Above
you never know.
level. Yeah.
And we were saying I'm starting off with the White Claw here, and
what
I will
flavor do
then
you have?
I have mango too. So I usually drink what my guest drinks, and so I'll have the other drink afterwards because, as I mentioned in rehearsals, I'm dressing for the job I want. Okay, it's death. I'm drinking and get that liver replacement. So yes,
I am also dressing for the job.
yeah, and I think we all are. I think we all can agree on that. But it's odd having a White Claw without sort of like the ratchet, White Claw can per se, because now this looks like a nice
fancy
seltzer.
Well, that's how I feel about this High Life too. I'm like, the bottle is.
We're like classy. We're like adults. We're pretending to be.
I have
adults.
this is a first. I've never had a High Life out of a glass.
I don't think anyone who drinks High Life would have had one out of a glass.
I'm gonna venture out and say that I'm a trailblazing here.
You are. And you know what? Speaking of trails, we are going to take a trip somewhere in the world to drink these drinks. And where would you guys like to go?
We're going to the Bean.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's go.
There
it is, right behind you. Wow.
Hi. We miss you, Bean.
Take a selfie in the Bean.
So the story behind the Bean is that Jess is from Chicago. I'm from Boston, and I just have always thought the Bean was the funniest thing in the world. I would ask, I'd be like, so people just go there? It's just like a giant bean.
It's just a bean, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
People go
What's
to.
like the purpose of it?
This is I need
bean, yeah.
need to remove my for a second. It's really distracting. But so we finally go to Chicago.
Yes.
Go to the Bean. probably top 10 days of my life.
Yeah, Charlotte got so excited running around the bean, taking pictures of it, just seeing it, just in awe of the bean. And I kind of walked away. I was taking pictures of some other buildings on the side, and I turned around and she's sitting there like out of breath, like a toddler who just played with all her toys too fast.
Yeah.
I was like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "It's the bean. I can't get over it. It's a bean."
Well, they made it for you specifically because I don't think I've heard anyone get that excited.
I was sitting there and I was just like, Jess, I need a second. She was like, you're 30.
Yeah, literally.
You're an adult.
Grow up.
Well, that's great. I'm really happy that we were able to take a trip down somewhere that really excites you in that regard. And Chicago's a beautiful city, lots of fun things to do. So why don't we grab our drinks and we'll toast, guys.
Cheers.
To the bean.
To the bean. Whoa.
Well, yeah. And it's kind of like doesn't really make it easy for drinking with microphones and all that
Love
kind of
it.
stuff.
Awesome.
Mango tastes great.
Okay.
It's good,
It
right?
actually is pretty good.
Gonna go ahead and say High Life tastes a little different.
Oh, well, we also roofied it too, so it might taste a bit weird.
All right, just
Jokes.
carry me out of here.
Yeah, well, that will happen
Just sleep
anyway.
in my blanket.
Well, our last guest, Michael Smith, had 6 Henny and lemonade, so we have plenty
serious?
to catch up on. The bar has been set high.
Wow.
He already proclaimed himself #1 guest, so I think you guys
I would like to see
can
Charlotte
challenge
after
that.
drinking 6 Henny lemonade.
I'll have to wheelbarrow you guys out of here. Okay, well, we are going to get into a ton of stuff about what you guys are doing professionally, what you do in your spare time, and your relationship between one another, and all that and more. Coming up on Drinks with Binks. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome on back to Drinks with Binks. We are drinking White Claws, Mango, and High Life with Charlotte and Jessica from Sports Illustrated. And before the break, I teased that you guys have a unique relationship. They're not dating yet, but close.
You don't know that.
Because I know I don't know that.
Like, we could have
Yeah.
just been keeping this way under wraps.
I know, but it's
Don't.
people would think that you guys are dating because I feel like you guys tweet at one another. I always see it's like combos.
Maybe we should stop. Maybe we're leading
No,
people.
it's great. But you could tell your friends because, like, I know you guys work together at Sports Illustrated, but you also have a unique sense of, not unique, but you have a sense of humor and you guys riff off each other really well. Tell me just like about, you guys have the MVP podcast, Wilder Project. What are you guys, how did you guys meet?
Great question.
Yeah.
We go way
beginning.
back. So
Yeah.
we were at SB Nation together originally, actually, and I think I started like 2 months after Justin.
Yeah. I started in fall of 2016. You started a couple months later. And one day we were on Slack.
Yeah.
This is like a couple telling a story about how they
Like,
met.
This truly,
Honey, you tell it.
This truly was like the weirdest. This is when we knew we were like, okay, maybe our brains are both broken in similar ways.
Yeah, we're weird.
Which we were talking about what your first word was, and at the
Like
exact
as a baby.
as a child,
Yeah.
you know, like dog, mom,
Right.
whatever. And
Yes.
at the exact same time, Jess and I both type into Slack that our first word was backhoe. As in like an excavator.
Yes.
Which is
Like
not
an industrial machine.
like that's not normal as a first
As a baby.
as a baby, and B, we've said it at the exact same time. And
Right.
my desk at the
So
time was
odd.
probably like 3 rows of desks in front of Jess's, and I literally screamed and stood up and looked at her, and I was like, "What?" And Jess like stands up, and we were both just
Yeah.
completely
Just
shook.
shock. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be pretty shook too. That is a unique word. And then at the
Backhoe.
same time,
Yeah.
backhoe,
Like I don't know.
like what is
I
that?
don't even
Is that the
really-
company?
No, it's
No,
like
it's like a-
the
An actual
big, like,
thing? I don't know.
crane
Yeah.
machine thing with like the big
Excavator
shovel
type thing or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
And then it like digs into the ground, and
we should have dressed up as that for Halloween.
Good.
that would've been
Okay,
great.
so then
I'm over.
no.
I'm
You
gonna
guys,
have to-
Imagine Dragon is perfect.
There's a lot of fleece.
It does get a little hot in here because I don't like air conditioning. So
Okay,
no, I'm
okay.
joking. We can put it on in the breaks, but not on
I
there.
start sweating.
Yeah, but okay. So then SB Nation, you guys met, and then you were like, love at first sight.
Not really. We were like didn't really work together because she lived in DC, I lived in New York, and then Charlotte moved to New York a few months later, and we started getting lunches together, and like we realized we kind of had similar sensibilities, and you know, liked the same types of things, i.e. sports. And
and food and like the Great British Bake Off.
yes.
Yeah.
So then we became
classics,
friends, and then Charlotte started working at Sports Illustrated, and then like 6 months later, I started working at Sports Illustrated.
Was she like a catalyst for you to go there?
Yeah,
Or-
she told me that she really liked it, and it helped make my decision easier.
Right. Okay. And so tell me, I know there's been a lot of stuff Sports Illustrated related in the news. What are you guys up to now?
Sorry.
Yeah.
I
I have no idea what you're talking
don't
about.
clear with the question.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are you guys up to? Because you guys were doing the Wilder Project. You were show producing, show running, and what are you guys doing?
So we had a digital show on SITV called The Wilder Project. Charlotte hosted 2 seasons of it. I produced 1 season of it, and we also had like a sports comedy podcast that we were doing for a while. That is on hiatus, but we're hoping it'll come back soon. But right now, like, we're still kind of trying to figure out what exactly, what we do and how that fits into like SI's new strategy.
Right.
So I think we're kind of just, hoping that we can continue doing the things that we really love at SI and that have made SI such a fun place to work for the last year and a half.
For sure. I mean, we got to do some really fun sort of off the walls things where Jess produced the in the field segments and the studio stuff, and I would get to just be a total idiot. And
well, you still get to do that.
Yeah, no, right. It's just not on camera at the current moment. But yeah, I mean, so I think that we're, as a writer there, I'm, working on a sort of bigger story right now, and Jess is also working on a story. So we're kind of like waiting to see how everything ends up.
Just focusing on sort of your investigative feature pieces. So, but to track back a bit, how did you, because I love that you had your, the comedy sports show, because, we're all kind of sort of now trying to get into that realm, like a lot of people. Me too, obviously.
You're doing it.
Yeah.
We're
doing it, guys.
We're dressed as a skeleton drinking a white.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right.
If I could just go back to high school and be like, look at guys, you can live out your dreams.
Also, it's wild that the liquid isn't just like spilling out of.
I know, because I am
As a
Pirates of the
skeleton.
Caribbean.
Yeah.
Oh, that scene always terrified me.
Me too. It's horrifying. Also, how do you get drunk as a skeleton?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean,
We'll find out.
both of you, JB, producer, said it in my ear at the exact same time as you said it. Same break. Maybe you
We'll
guys,
find out.
maybe you guys should hit each other up on Slack then. 'Cause, like same words.
Yeah, JB, what was your first word?
Way.
Was it whatever bank or okay. But how did the because you're a writer, how did the show come to fruition?
So yeah, when I got hired there, it was very much, we want you for your voice, which I thought was very cool because, a lot of my career had been people being like, so the voice thing, maybe like less of that. And so that was really exciting for me. And they had SITV, and we're building out programming for it. And I'd done some video stuff. We both had, Jess was on the video team at SB Nation. I sort of hopped back and forth.
She dabbled.
I did. And so they'd seen some of those clips, but really kind of took a flyer on me and said, I think you can carry this. Let's try it. And it was very humbling and very cool to try to prove them right. Doing it with Jess made that much easier.
That's great. And you got like great guests. You're out in the field. You were with Jeff Fisher. That was a big one.
Julie Ertz was definitely. She was my favorite guest that we got on the show.
She was incredible.
Yeah.
She was really fun.
Oh my God. She also stayed afterwards. Like
she facilitated our trip to the Bean. We should mention we were in Chicago to shoot with her.
How was that?
So that was really exciting because she plays for the Red Stars in Chicago.
Of course,
yeah. What were you just saying? I'm sorry.
Oh, just that. No. Just that after. So we had a few hours after the shoot with her before our flight, which is when we went to the Bean. So that was very exciting. But afterwards, we finished this shoot and we did it at a cheese shop.
There's a story here.
Yeah. It was just like whatever. And she stayed and she was like, "Can I just get a sandwich and like hang out for a second?" And we were like, "Oh my God."
You could like
does Julie
with
friends?
us,
Julie?
Yeah.
Like to Julie, we're both like, "Yeah, totally fine. Like go for it." And then the two of us were like, "Oh my God, does she
wants to hang out.
She want to hang out?"
They are so cool.
So
they're just like these
cool.
gods.
Yes.
Hanging like when I used to do sideline and do some U.S. women's stuff,
yeah.
I'd be like, wow, like you guys, like interviewing them, they'd be like, hey, how's it going? Like, how's your weekend? You're like, I don't know how to answer that because they're so neat, even though they're your age.
They're world superstar athletes, but they're very cool people. And I think she doesn't have an ego at all. Like she's just very like, hanging out,
down to earth,
nice, friendly.
She also, like, I feel like when you work in sports long enough or you're in this world and, it's very much access-based and talking to athletes a lot and celebrities and, you kind of get over getting starstruck and you get to the point where you have to be like, look, I just really hope you're interesting. Like, please just say something to make what we're doing here interesting. And I was definitely starstruck around Julie. I was like, I am not being cool at all in this moment.
What about Oscar the Grouch?
Also just lost my cool completely.
Yeah, so we had Oscar, Cookie Monster, Grover, and Abby in studio on the Wilder Project. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, Charlotte set that up. I think she lives in the same garbage can as Oscar. So she was able just to pull a favor with him. And
melted,
they came
just
on
body bag there.
They came on the show and it was just really, really fun. They were super funny and got to.
Yeah, how was that with like seeing the people, I guess?
There are no people. They're just.
It's just
them. They're just Muppets. Yeah, there's no people.
I mean, like, that's a little offensive.
They're like a foot tall.
I'm like, tell me about what happens behind the scenes.
Well, Oscar like comes in and it's a garbage can and you have to like lift him out of it and then it's like a whole production.
Right.
And it's this. What is it like? How like? Come on, pull back the curtain a bit. Like, one person.
We're like, we could commit to this bit.
Yeah, like what?
No, so each person, they sit on the ground and have the puppets appear.
I still have no idea what you're talking about.
If they were to not be sentient beings themselves, it would be a man sitting on the ground with, or a woman.
That's awesome.
It was really cool. I mean, I grew up just like completely obsessed with Sesame Street. So
Well, you're a big Muppets fan.
Huge Muppets
Well, that's
fan. I mean,
also
can you
just
tell?
Thinking outside of the box of having guests on the show, like
Yeah, it happened because Chloe Kim was doing some special with Sesame Street, and one of my editors was like, hey, do you want to go do like a quick, short story thing on her? And I was like, yeah, and we got there and she kind of blew me off. So she like wouldn't really talk to me, and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna talk to Elmo then.
Yeah.
So I didn't end up writing anything on Chloe Kim, and I was like, if you guys want to come on our show,
it's great. You gotta be opportunistic, right? In that circumstance.
100%. It's all about who you know.
Yes, right.
But Elmo actually also blew us off.
Elmo.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, that didn't work.
Elmo.
That was deliberate. They were like, well, you already met Elmo, so why don't we bring you other people?
Well, I didn't get the opportunity to meet Elmo.
I know, so
that's
really
a little
screwed that
selfish
up.
on your part.
Well, you guys come back and we'll get Elmo on here too, okay?
Okay, look.
Because we like to get our guests to help us bring other guests on the show, right?
For sure. I mean, I'll put in a good word.
Okay.
What do you think Elmo drinks?
Apple juice?
Yeah, apple juice.
They're very
we're
G-rated.
equal opportunity employer here.
If the Muppets were to drink, though,
They'd be slaying us. Lots of bad. It'd be like Avenue Q, I would imagine.
yeah, right.
A little dirty.
Dr. Teeth definitely drinks like just straight whiskey. I mean, we don't have to do this.
You know what? I don't know.
He looks like Dr. Teeth.
Yeah, I don't know who Dr. Teeth is, but I think I am Dr. Teeth. So many teeth. All right, we are having a great time here. But we got to take a little time out. And you guys need to drink more. We'll be back. Drink some things.
I'm Dan Patrick, and I'm sipping on drinks with Binks.
Hey guys, welcome on back to Drinks with Binks. I'm JSB. We've got Charlotte and Jessica from Sports Illustrated. We were just discussing all about the Muppets, which is interesting. It also is Halloween today. We're shooting this on Halloween, but it is the day after Halloween. And because it's New York, I mean, it could be any day of the year. Like, people are crazy here. So
yeah, I actually had a hard time on the subway today figuring out who was dressed up for Halloween and who was just themselves.
right? Like,
Yeah.
Jess, I mean,
This is kind of a cool outfit.
Yeah.
It's not terrible. I mean,
No.
John Lennon should be just so lucky.
Just be John Lennon all day, every day. I kind of like this look too, for me, if I will say so
I actually do too if
myself.
you have the time. I'm gonna
Yeah, just do this.
I don't love
Just
these
toss
yellow
this back up.
sunglasses.
Why? They look
Really?
cool.
Like,
Can I try
both
mine?
look yellow.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Let me just
Didn't really think about it from your perspective.
these bad boys
Everything looks
first.
blue.
Look cool. Now you really are.
Now I really am
imagining.
imagining.
Maybe you should have just been
Bad
John Lennon
Jess.
in a dragon suit, and I should have
That's
been
great.
something else.
Oh wow, what a
Good
thought.
Great. No.
No.
Hey, that's on Halloween. You always think like, oh, I should have done this. I should have done
I
that.
know.
And then next
know.
Halloween, you're like the night before.
And then you forget. It's like your karaoke song. Like you think of one, and then when it comes time to actually sing,
Yeah. Oh, do we want to talk about karaoke? Charlotte.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm the host of the show, so I decide what we talk about.
all right.
What is your favorite karaoke song? I know what yours is because you tweet about it all the time.
Mine? What is it?
Wonderwall.
Oh yeah, that's a more recent. The hood keeps flying. That's a more recent addition.
Okay.
It used to be Cher, Turn Back Time.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Which
so on my birthday we went to a bar. It was a Wednesday night, and it happened to be karaoke night at midnight. So we were like, oh, we'll stick around. And so the karaoke host gets up and she says, the only rule tonight is no good singers allowed. And we were like, perfect. Like we all suck at singing.
I was like,
so Charlotte volunteers
fantastic.
to go first and sings Cher, Turn Back Time.
like not well.
Yeah,
like it was fun. It wasn't
little
College
pitchy.
try.
a lot pitchy, but also it wasn't. You didn't hear it and be like, oh, maybe she was on Broadway before.
Right. It was not. It was fine. Like it was what you'd expect from a Wednesday karaoke night. So then she gets back down, and then the next person goes, sings an incredible rendition of like "Let It Go" from Frozen, and then the next person goes up, sings an incredible rendition of another song, belts it out, and like the next 10 people go, and we find out that they're all basically off Broadway singers. And
yeah.
They said no good singers.
I think it was like
I think it was a joke. I think this is where all the good people go, and I was like, hell yeah! I was like, I have found my people, and so they're sitting there being like, who is this girl? And then they one guy had a record deal.
Yeah, there was a
I
guy.
hate people like that at karaoke. No, come on. Like you don't need to do this.
Just saying Bobby McGee though. Jess is a good singer.
That was fine.
Are you one of those off-Broadway people we're discussing?
I happen to be the understudy at Kinky Boots, male lead understudy.
But you guys are big karaoke fans. I'm a big karaoke
You are
fan.
a
We should
big
all go
karaoke
out
fan.
and karaoke sometime.
What's your song?
I got a couple. Like if I'm going by myself, I do.
Do you do that? You go to karaoke by
If
yourself?
I go by myself, yeah, I have gone by myself.
I love
before.
that.
Yeah, when I was working
mean
out
if you
in
sing by
Stanford.
yourself?
Yeah, I was so hungry for fun on a Memorial Day weekend. After finishing like the night shift at CBS, I came back and I got to karaoke at like 2:45 in the morning. I was stone cold sober, and I put my slip in to sing "Total Eclipse of the Heart." But then there was too many people there, and I was like, I'm not gonna wait 40 minutes by myself nursing this Coors Light. Just sing this. So I bounced. But yeah, do Total Eclipse of the Heart, and then my boyfriend and I like to sing Sister Hazel, All for You.
Oh, that's a really good one.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I know that
I like the old 90s.
See what I'm saying? She's not that.
Yeah, all for you.
I'm just, trying to jog your memory.
It's good. We can't actually sing anything on the show.
Oh, yeah,
so we're
sorry.
not singing.
The whole rights
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, the whole no rights, zero rights
We actually
across
have
the board.
to cut a check for $50,000 for that, Charlotte.
Yeah.
So pay up.
3 lines. I think you're allowed to use like 10 seconds.
Fair use.
Maybe not.
We just like to steer clear of that. Okay, so I enjoyed talking. I enjoyed talking about karaoke. I hope you guys did too. But before we move on to some like more fun stuff, do gotta ask you guys about the old SI situation, because you guys made the cut. Like you didn't. A lot of people got fired, and it was not a good time. We talked with Grant Wall in depth about it, so don't worry. I know you don't want to say the wrong thing on this couch.
I mean,
but
it was probably one of the worst days of my professional career. I think the thing that SI was, for both of us, and it's the people. I've never met so many talented people, just across the board, video, art direction, photography, the writing, obviously. And so to see those people who are, doing the kind of work that I think is incredibly valuable, just get, fired in a conference room was one of the harder things that could have happened, and we are still there.
Yeah, I mean, layoffs suck. Like Charlotte and I, at our last job that we worked at together, went through a round of layoffs where neither of us got laid off, but a lot of our friends did. And so to have it happen again at our next job, it's kind of the harsh reality about working in media that these things like happen this way. But I think it felt different for some reason this time around. It felt a lot more punitive in a way. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't because of a shift in strategy or because the business was failing. As far as I know, it was more like arbitrary. Like some of the people that were like, oh, we're the best people that worked at Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
It was very hard to wrap our heads around, and still is like a little bit difficult sometimes to, just.
Did you
figure
get
out.
like any kind of like closure on it and the fact that like what they were doing or where they're going?
I mean, I would just love to use this time to plug, like, if you guys have jobs for people, like, DM me, DM Jess. Like, they're truly, I think some of the most talented people working in sports media right now are not employed. And so, no, there's not a lot of closure around that. Some people are starting to get jobs, which is really exciting. There's definitely, as time passes, people sort of start figuring out new things, but it's tough. It's the job market is flooded with very talented people right now, and it can feel very bleak. And I think, I've been in media for 8 years now. This was the 5th mass layoff that I've been through.
Wow.
And so it gets to a point where you're like, it feels like you're playing the ground is lava or something, just like hopping around from trying to go from place to place or making the best of where you are currently. And I hope that things change. I hope it gets more stable. I hope we get more opportunities. I don't know how.
So like explain it for people that wouldn't understand, like Maven takes over or like.
Yeah, so like Sports Illustrated had kind of a weird, I don't know, ownership situation. It was owned by Time Inc. and then Meredith bought Time Inc. and put SI on the market, and then SI was sold to a licensing company called ABG, and they licensed the operation of Sports Illustrated to a company called The Maven. So SI is owned by ABG but operated by The Maven. And until like January, we still work for Meredith. So it's very complicated, and that is also another aspect of it that is like kind of just like confusing.
Right. We're like, I don't know who to go to.
Yeah, like who's my boss? And just before we go to break, I want to ask you guys, like we talked with Grant and how he said growing up working at Sports Illustrated, it's just this pinnacle, like it's such this iconic brand. But now with everything that's happened, in what way has sort of your opinion been altered about where you work?
I mean, I want to still believe that it can be that. I think it would be doing a disservice to everyone who's left to say that it can't be or isn't. I will believe in that place and in the people there until I die, because they are still some of the best. So
yeah, there's still a lot of really good writers and reporters and video producers at Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
But it is obviously still sad to see people have to go.
Yeah, it's awful. And as we go to break, I know I've also been through so many different layoffs. FS1 had them, ESPN had them. They just keep coming, and you just have to be like,
we're like cockroaches.
yeah, like you don't die.
Like, you should address it
And
with
hopefully you don't die.
John
You never
Lennon.
know. Yeah, we all should have been cockroaches.
We're still here.
Today.
Keith
Got
Richards
plenty
in a
of them
body
my
bag.
apartment. All right, we're going to take a quick time out. We're going to be back on Drinks with Binks with Charlotte and Jessica. Stay tuned. All right, welcome on back to Drinks with Binks. It is Halloween today, although you're watching this on the day after Halloween, so we just look like a bunch of idiots still dressed up. We never took our costumes off.
I'm very cozy.
Yeah, you're great. You know, we got John Lennon, we've got a dragon, and then I'm just sort of like myself, I guess. Like the show Call It a Night, my other show, I'll plug that one as well, is like me in a suit. And so I thought, I'll be like, I should have called it a night. I went a little too far, you know?
Yeah.
Oops.
You're you on a Sunday.
Once again, this is Sunday Scary.
Yeah.
I'm like,
There it is. That's a costume.
Yeah.
That's it. That's a tweet.
Although I feel like I kind of like this look though.
Yeah, no, I kind of do too.
Yeah, like
do
I'm
like
kind
the
of
wig a
into
lot.
it.
I really like
like
I
Lady
hot
Gaga.
guys.
I really like the excessive dark
It's all Flynn, our makeup artist Flynn did this. I cannot take credit for it. So
that's just me before I put on concealer.
Yes.
Not even.
Well, yeah, this is waking up after a night out, which we'll do tonight. At least I will. Anyways, just to wrap up Sports Illustrated that we were just talking about, I wanted to talk to you guys about one of your colleagues, Stephanie Epstein, who was in the news recently, who wrote the article about Brandon Taubman, who was with the Astros, the assistant general manager, who was shouting in the locker room afterwards, thank God we got Osuna, which was, he has been had domestic violence issues, and he was yelling it at a group of women. And so the Astros doubled down, saying this never happened, all this. And I found you guys were very vocal about it on social media. And I think as women, all of us definitely need to be that way. I feel like you guys do a really good job of supporting women and also towing that line on social media.
That's truly the nicest thing you could say.
Yeah, it's a fact. You guys do, you really lift a lot of people up and you support a lot of women.
Well, I think that's, we've had a lot of support from people, and trying to do this, it is a very male world, especially trying to do this as funny women it sort of narrows that down even further, and having support from people is crucial because it can be very lonely and it can be a little scary sometimes. You're like, am I nuts? Like, is this actually fun? Like, what are we?
Yeah, when the entire Astros organization and all of their fans who think that they can do no wrong are coming after a person's credibility. Like, I will do what I can with my small social media following to point out the hypocrisy of that and say that it's wrong. And I think, there's no, I'm not doing it to make myself look good, but I think that sometimes people don't know how to interpret those types of situations. And so I contextualized it by making memes, making fun of the Astros.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think that, first of all, Steph is just probably the most ethical, talented baseball writer I know, and writer in general. She's incredibly disciplined. She's so smart. She tells stories so beautifully. And so for them to attack her, I was like, oh, this is the most absurd thing I have if there were, first of all, you shouldn't slander any journalist, but Steph is on such a level that it was just absurd. So if there was any way, to lend whatever voice or following or be vocal about it, then I think it's really important. I also think it's easier when you see other people talking about stuff to sort of hop on and lend your support. And, I remember when I had no followers and I had no idea what was going on and no one knew who I was, and I would see people doing these sorts of things. I'd be like, oh, okay, I should also think this way or examine this situation because someone I trust is telling me. I don't know if anyone trusts me, but
yeah,
here we are.
Have you guys ever had a situation like that with someone trying to say your story? We'll talk about some other situations online, but someone saying, especially maybe from a male perspective, even no, this never happened, or you got my quote wrong, or anything like that.
I wrote about this NASCAR guy who, I'd written this big story about how NASCAR ratings were falling, how things weren't going great for that sport, and about whether they could survive after Dale Jr. retired, and how they needed this new star. And there was this guy, this race car driver, Matt DiBenedetto, that I profiled 3 years ago. And I was basically like, look, if he can get the money, maybe, but it's an uphill battle, who knows? And he was talking about how he wanted to be in the best car. And when the story came out, some of his sponsors got really mad at him. We're like, what, you say you want to be in the best car, but our car's the best car. And he took a selfie video of himself saying that I had incorrectly reported it and basically slandering me and saying that I hadn't done the due diligence and I was there. I was like, buddy, this is the nicest thing anyone's ever going to write about you. Yeah. You're a 30th place NASCAR driver, but okay. And it ended up being the Dale's crew chief who does commentary for NBC came out and supported me, and
that's
so
really
stuff like
great.
that. It actually does kind of make a difference when
this
was nowhere near on that scale, but.
No, but yeah, that's kind of sometimes the world we have to live in, and especially being a female too. There's also another element in there. Jessica, it feels like you something to say.
I know. I actually, having not written a lot of stories yet, because I've done a lot of video work, it has never happened to me, but like just being on the internet, you see people go after each other all the time, sometimes unfairly, usually unfairly, I would say. And it's very scary to have like an internet mob angry at you. So the Astros, just getting back to the Astros thing, to like have them incite their fans to be angry at Steph for doing her job is a very irresponsible use of their platform. And like, someone should definitely be getting in trouble for that.
Right. I mean, the fact that they fired Tubman and then they left the people there who slandered Steph and who put these statements out and botched all the apologies is just like really gross.
Yeah, it was a real mess for them. They handled it very
and they lost the World
poorly,
Series.
and they
so
lost it.
Maybe karma's a bitch.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's one of those extra distractions where you're like, yeah, well, serves you right. And because everything kind of went downhill for them when that moment came to fruition. Before we do go to break, I would like, maybe if you guys can forecast an event like this happening to a team, to a reporter, what kind of role do you think it will play going forward?
What do you mean?
Like, will other teams be... if someone steps out of line, will this sort of serve in history as like something not to do, something to do?
Hopefully. I think it probably is an example of how not to use your PR department. Like the Astros, if they had just wanted to be not as culpable and still kind of been assholes, they could have just said, oh, we don't know anything about this, we'll investigate. Though obviously the right thing to do would have been to say, we believe Steph Epstein and we are going to fire this man for threatening behavior. But they could have gone the neutral route. Instead, they went the complete opposite of that, even in
total heel turn.
Total negative route, which was attack this journalist, even though she's very credible and very good at her job. So hopefully, at the very least in the future, PR departments will say, let's just our initial statement, maybe we should think twice about it before we put it out.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I hope that this goes into like some binder in teams of like how not to handle literally anything.
Yeah.
And then you open it up, it's like the Astros in 2019, And
also, like in our political world too, it feels very much like, nope, that never happened. And it's like, yeah, it did actually.
Like, we all saw it. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've got a whole lot more coming up on Drinks and Things. Don't go anywhere. We got to fill up. I got to get a Miller High Life. All right, welcome on back. Drinks with Binks. I'm JSB. We've got Charlotte Wilder and Jessica Smetana from Sports Illustrated. I'm now on the other drink, which is Charlotte's Miller High Life. Yes, and you two are.
Do I need to separate you two?
Yeah, we are still celebrating Halloween. Of course, you have to remind that. Yes. It's been a lot of fun. We've had some deep topics, but you guys are very well known for your Twitter presence. You're very comedic. You're very smart. I look at a lot of your tweets because we write a lot of.
You have to say it. It might not be true.
Written in the prompter. No, you don't have a prompter. But we have head writer on our show, Dan, and we were talking about you guys you're very witty and you're very smart. Well, you're writers, so that sort of transcends beyond just writing. I'm like, can I stop talking or whatever? I'm clearly not a writer. But yeah, so what are your guys like comedic influences, let's say?
Oh, good
Charlotte.
question.
Love this question. Well, growing up, like in my family, like funny was the thing that mattered. It was like be kind, be generous. Also, like you better be funny. My parents, I like grew up watching old Marx Brothers and like old Bill Murray and SNL from like the 70s, and then just. I remember my dad being like, okay, so what made that funny? And I'd be like, oh, well, the timing of like it really was like a very much, and my parents were always joking around, and I think that was something that has just always really mattered.
And what was their goals? Just to like make sure you were cool?
I don't know.
Got it.
No.
Word. Yeah.
I mean,
it's a great idea though for your kids.
Yeah.
Like, why did that work? Like, what game were they playing?
My parents are just like two very funny people, so I think they just wanted to have fun. And I'm an only child, so they were like, well, we're stuck with this one, so might as well try to make her funny because that's more fun to hang out with.
Nice. And Jessica?
For me, my sense of humor came from my deep sense of self-loathing. So I actually have no idea. Like I just like funny shows. I don't know.
Yeah, like what comedians would you like?
I don't know, honestly. I just don't. You
guys are
answer for me.
You're not as much like a comedian or stand-up guy as like TV. Like you and I, like Jess and I will talk about like an episode of Veep and go through and be like, why did that timing work, or like why did this thing, like what made
Veep.
this so funny,
So good.
And just sort of riffing off of each other and of our other friends where. I mean, that's what's fun, right?
I do love John Mulaney, I will say.
He's great.
I was watching one of his stand-up routines once at home, and it was on Netflix, and my mom says, that guy really sounds like Chip Mulaney. And I was like, what? Like, that's his dad? You know John Mulaney's dad? And apparently my mom used to go to church with John Mulaney's dad. And I was like, this is so weird.
That is so odd.
She just like identified it based off of his like mannerisms and voice.
So funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, your mom must have had some interesting stories then, I guess.
I mean, from church. I don't.
Yeah, from church. A lot of stuff goes down in church, you know. But you guys are so quick with like a lot of your stuff, and I find it interesting. Like when we watch sports, you know, everyone's kind of wanting to have some kind of take or some funny line about what's going on. How much pressure do you feel to kind of chime in?
I don't feel very much pressure to chime in. I just kind of do when I feel like it. I think a lot of times if it's my team playing, I feel pressure to talk about how unhappy I am. And I think people find humor in that, like this weekend when my alma mater lost to Michigan.
Yeah, sorry, that's rough.
It's okay.
Notre Dame, everyone. They really shit the bed.
Yeah.
Missed it.
I was very sad and depressed, and I think that people enjoyed that. But I don't know, Charlotte, what do you think?
I think it can definitely feel like pressure sometimes. I mean, I feel kind of like a loser admitting that because
I think it's an important conversation.
Yeah, I feel like you're supposed to be like, well, no, it's fun, and like I'm a sports fan, and this. But like last night during Game 7 of the World Series,
2 nights ago, Charlotte.
Sorry, 2 nights ago.
Friday,
it's Friday now. 2 nights ago during Game 7 of the World Series, I was just not being very funny for like the first hour. Like my tweets.
What does that mean? Okay,
it means I would tweet something and like it wouldn't do that well. Like not many people would like it or retweet it, and I just felt I would read it and I'd be like, "What was that? Like, are you high? Like that's not funny at all." And then like about an hour in, I had a funny one, and it actually, I was like, "Oh wait, no, this is actually funny."
Right.
And then I was like, "What is going on in your brain?" I love sports. I love watching sports, but definitely as a part of the job or the career or sort of staying relevant, I feel like it does help to be out there. And more so than that, though, it's just really fun. Like, it's just so much fun. Like, if you're watching something and Joe Buck is giving us the history of...
Oh, God, he's just going through the history of the Washington Nationals right before the final out of the Game 7 of the World Series. I'm like, Joe, we can Google the Wikipedia page if we want to know all that stuff. Just call the out.
And there's like a joke to be made there about like Betsy Ross's flag somehow. You know, it's like you sort of making, I think for me, the fun part about... comedy and sports is making connections.
Of course,
is linking things together and being like, oh, this is a callback to that, or this is why this, you could see it in a different way.
I will say I love Twitter during live sporting events because like last night I was trying to work on this thing that I'm writing, and I was just on Twitter watching the World Series in the background, and I felt like I was watching it with people, even though like I was very much alone in my pajamas.
It's like this like cool conversation.
It feels like a community, even though half the time the people in the community are yelling obscenities and maybe like not the best people, but
well, you're all in it together, I guess.
Right.
And before we go to a break, I know we have to, but when did you guys realize and feel comfortable with just like being yourself completely online? Or do you?
I have literally never had any other option. Like people, like someone, a college student the other day was like, so do you tweet professionally? And I was like, I don't understand the question. I was like, I've only, like all I've ever known is like saying what I think and being who I am and for better or for worse.
I think sometimes the weirder you are, the more like authentic it feels, as much as I hate to say that word.
Right.
And people actually like it more if you're kind of like a cookie cutter type, saying the same thing as everyone else. It doesn't really stand out. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really weird. Like I love Lord of the Rings and I tweet about Lord of the Rings constantly and people seem to like it. So I keep doing it. And I don't do it for them, but I do it because I love Lord of the Rings.
And we're going to have a Lord of the Rings Muppet remake. That would be amazing.
God. Cut this out.
Don't give these ideas away.
Great ideas. Okay, well, we are going to put that pen to paper when we come back for our new musical. Now it's a musical. Okay, Drinks with Binks next. Welcome back, Drinks with Binks. We got Charlotte Wilder, Jessica Smetana from Sports Illustrated. We don't have a whole lot of time to get into both these things, but I can't have you on without asking you about your beef with Carrie Underwood.
Yeah, I'm gonna officially bury that beef right now and say that I'm very happy that Waiting All Day for Sunday Night is back.
Yeah, it was time. It was time to put that bad boy to rest.
I have to say I love NBC Sunday Night Football, and
we really do. Like the whole thing came from a very pure place.
It did. I really love.
What was the feeling when you saw that Carrie Underwood was tweeting at you?
Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I got some texts.
Yeah.
I was a little bit of.
Well, I was a little like I felt very vulnerable because it was right as I was getting out of the shower, so I was like very scared and naked.
Like, how did she even see this?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
Searching her name.
But it wasn't even intended to be a dig on her. It was not.
So now you're like careful.
Yeah.
I guess.
I guess.
Well, we just love every song now.
Well, yeah, I've never.
You've been a little tongue in cheek on it now.
I really do love Waiting All Day for Sunday Night,
truly.
and that's all that I intended was to get the song back. And guess what? It's back. So
yeah, it's back.
I feel really good about it.
You did your due diligence, and we don't have so much time. But Charlotte, you got in a little fight with Ed Werder.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Love these little Twitter battles. Let's dig it all up.
Let's dig those up. I'm glad that's the one you chose. There are some way less pleasant ones. Yeah. No. Well, Ed found a tweet of mine where I said, SI is hiring. This was
that's not now.
A year ago. And I was like, so if you're a woman, especially, reach out. DMs are open, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh, so men shouldn't apply? And I was like, well.
You're like, no.
They probably will anyways.
Yeah. They're gonna. No, so, but I recently, he's at ESPN again now. And the Post had an interview with him where he was like, I learned a lot from that. And I was like, so I was like, cool, great. Like, I have nothing against Ed Werder. It was a very bizarre.
Yeah, it is funny when someone like jumps on something you tweet and you're like, wow.
And he kept going, and I was like, buddy, this might not be the hill you want to die on.
Tennis. It's like,
that is the scary thing about Twitter, though, is people can kind of misread your intentions and take it to a really like dark place that you never thought that it would.
What,
go.
social media? No, Twitter.
Yeah.
Why would anyone do that?
But like, luckily, my incident was only about a Sunday Night Football jingle and not something like sexism in the workplace.
Right, which fun one to go back and forth on.
Yeah.
I think I am kind of still proud of the one I ended on. I tried to be as cordial as I could and like really kind of keep things civil. And then he hit me with something else, and I just went, "Can you even read?"
That was
and then
good.
I was
That's
like,
a great comeback.
And so that, and then I was like, maybe we need to stop.
Maybe we need to take this offline.
Yeah.
All right. We unfortunately have to take this offline. We have to go to break. Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, we have had a great time drinking and binking here with Charlotte Wilder and Jessica Smetana from Sports Illustrated. And you guys are working on some big stories right now.
Yes.
Secret.
We are.
No, mine's not a secret. I went to this like multi-day ultra marathon event in Tennessee 2 weeks ago, so I'm writing about that.
Super cool.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, like the people run 300 miles without sleeping, so fun is
dangerous.
yeah, subjective.
It sounds like just a week in New York City, right? That's how I am right now. Thank you guys. It's been a great Halloween episode, even though it's November 1st. But you know what? We like to have fun. We like to drink. And next week we have Kurt Menefee from NFL Fox Sunday. Until then, bottoms up, bitches.
Woo! Cheers, my drink.